You, right over there, you are absolutely right. Congratulations. You are so damn right. Facebook broke. Oh, welcome everyone. Yes, indeed. You should feel right now a sense of deep and profound validation. You thought that it broke, but it absolutely did. How's everyone doing, by the way? Like, did you think that you got banned? Did you think that, like, somebody went out and destroyed your account? Is it because, like, you were just posting meme after meme and questionable content after questionable content, and you felt to yourself, oh my God, like, they finally caught me. Like I was just going on like sketchy Facebook groups, thinking to myself, I would never get zucked. Me? Get zucked? Never. Holy hell no. But no, like, yes, you are absolutely right. Facebook was down. It's kind of interesting because like I have a couple of WhatsApp groups and people were just like freaking out all the way. I think a lot of you were probably like freaking out, which proves that maybe like you are senior citizens because you're using Facebook along the way. But anyway, I thought I would go ahead and show you that maybe you're not completely crazy, but here you go. Here you go, and here you go. Boom. Did you know that a whole bunch of people were just casually discussing what happened just a couple of minutes ago? And I don't know what happened to you or where you were when you were just facing this great Facebook outage of 2026. But yep, it was completely down. You're not wrong. Sang Lee, unfortunately, you are not first. Welcome to the stream. I hope that everyone's doing well. It's like 10:42 p.m. But I thought that this was interesting because it's not every day that Facebook goes down. It's like a special event. Do I have a plan to open a Chinese language channel? 我干嘛要 open Chinese language channel 呢？我的中文有够牛逼吗？我感觉我需要多点训练。I don't think it's gonna be in my interest or your interest that like I have a whole conversation in like Chinese right here. But anyway, the point of this live stream is not whether I have a Chinese language channel or not. The point is, you are right, and welcome to the channel. By the way, you're absolutely right that Facebook broke. You right now are right. You are 100% right. There is this random guy on the internet right now just casually screaming out this feeling right now that you have that you are right. You know what? Like, how do you feel right now? That you are right. Let's go right ahead and ask you actually. And I'm gonna share my screen right now. All right. Did you freak out when you tried to open Facebook just now? All right. So let's see. Yes or no? No. And the last one will just be I don't use Facebook. And that'll be for those of you who are maybe like not senior citizens, but go right ahead. Please vote. Yang Renchuan, you're obsessed with the Chinese community. I don't really care whether the Chinese community understands me or not. And frankly, like most of the Chinese community that I know around me understand, well, English. So I don't really see a problem with that. So I don't know. Like, you know some people, right? Like just because I coincidentally happen to be Chinese, then they like start thinking to themselves, "Oh, I need to represent the Chinese." No, I don't. What the heck? Like I know that I have Chinese descent and everything, but like, bro, like you need to like not like ask me to shill for the Chinese community. It doesn't work that way. I don't care like enough to be a representative of the Chinese people. What? Okay, anyway. So yeah, like if you opened up Facebook earlier, then there's a good chance that you would realize that maybe things were not as they should have been. And in fact, right now, you can actually see not just the Reddit post, right? But you can actually go on YouTube. Oh, and by the way, like this was actually like removed by the moderator because like it happened just a while ago, right? And then like you don't want people to be like freaking out like all over the world. And trust me, like people were actually freaking out, and it's crazy, right? Like if you think about it, just like years ago, nothing like this would have happened. Like this would have just been like some sort of like social media, like toy game type thing that maybe, well, people would have like thought was a sort of like enjoyment. You know what I mean? And yeah, like John, like that is actually happening to a whole bunch of people that I know right now. They are complaining about how like they can't message like people and then like look at like cat pictures together. It's kind of interesting to think about. I see that like y'all are like not surprised at the moment. Actually no, like this is like a 33%, 33%, 33% split. Wow, like this is interesting. So like you've got yes, one third, no, one third. People who don't use Facebook like one third. Interesting. I'm actually wondering about like the age distribution right now. And by the way, like if you actually were to look at the content right now that you can see on YouTube, right? So like there are like countless people at the moment just like opening up these videos, right, about Facebook being down. It's crazy. Like just look at what is happening right here. I think that this might be one of the only live streams at the moment. So like thank you for popping by. But yeah, so like maybe it's just like not calibrated at the moment. But actually wait, yeah. Look at this. There are like literally like tutorials at the moment for Facebook not opening. And yeah, there are a couple more. If you actually were to go ahead and like look at the internet right about now, you can actually see a whole bunch of these. But anyway, so I hope that y'all are feeling good. I mean, like it's actually the case that Facebook like crashed earlier. I have a feeling, right, that someone is probably going to be like very, very pissed. I bet that Mark Zuckerberg is going to be very, very pissed. And I had a fun time like just generating like pictures earlier about Mark Zuckerberg like panicking and just imagining his entire company like cascading down to the ground. And like I was just thinking about it and like yes, it does say that Facebook broke, but there's no way that Mark Zuckerberg would be broke. Are you kidding? Like one of the most valuable companies in the world, man owning a private island and hanging out on like a ranch where he raises cows that have literal macadamia feed all the while. Did you notice this? If you didn't notice this, then yeah, like this is a nice like reminder for you. This is something that does happen like all the while. Yeah, he he actually raises wagyu cattle and he is actually like feeding them with macadamia nuts, which is crazy. Yeah, maybe he was doing that like too much. And therefore, what happened was that Facebook ended up crashing because like he was just casually like paying attention to all of his like macadamia cows. Maybe he was like watching Guga Foods or something like that. And as a result of that, then that caused his multi-billion dollar company to just crash. And it wasn't just Facebook, by the way. It was also Instagram. So like if you were using Instagram earlier, you might have noticed that in addition to Facebook, like it also crashed, right? And I think that there's a whole ecosystem of things that's just like failing like all the while at the moment. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, this is very unfortunate to think about. The whole idea, right, of people being on social media, I think, like, it used to be something like so far away, right? Like, I don't think that a lot of us would have even thought that something like this, right, would end up like filtering, processing our reality so much to the point that like literal thousands, if not tens of thousands of people would like react to an event like this. I mean, do you guys remember a time, once upon a time, when you didn't actually use Facebook. Like you didn't actually like have to worry about social media all the while. Like there would have been a time, right, when maybe an event like this, right, wouldn't be causing a full-on cataclysm in society to the point where everyone is just going and crying about how like, oh no, did we get banned? Like, what's gonna happen to us? Businesses weren't relying on this stuff. Like, again, it was all like fun and games, you know what I mean? Like, we actually had social interaction back then. And it's interesting because I just wanted to yap about this because it's such a sociologically interesting phenomenon, right? Like, we're having this conversation right now where we're talking about social media and how Mark was just really, for the longest time, right? Like, always talking about how we need to become like more connected, how we're all going to one day wear these crazy headsets where we can end up somehow connecting with the rest of the world. And it was just like crazy and honestly kind of creepy. Do you remember when he was just casually wearing all of these like VR headsets all the while and saying that we were going to the metaverse? Yeah, that didn't really pan out. But if you have Meta Ray-Ban glasses, then that's going to end up changing along the way. But like that guy actually transformed the world. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about how we interact with one another, we DM people through Instagram, we use Facebook like crazy, and it's just like even right now, like our system of communication, WhatsApp and everything else right there is just like the brainchild of this like one single guy who's a very unique character, I gotta say. And what's even more disturbing, I think, is the fact that like he is also at this point, right? Like laying off large numbers of people, and like it looks like the whole AI revolution, right, is like really like coming full circle. I have a couple of friends who got laid off, right, by Meta, or I'm thinking of like one specific friend at the moment, and he was actually in a pretty most people would think non-redundant position, right? But like even he ended up getting replaced along the way. But I recall that he ended up laying off more than 2,000 people and then showing up in a yacht at Seattle. But yeah, he I guess needs to pay Alexander Wang even more money and to make this whole situation just kind of become like some crazy artificial intelligence powered robot automated system where no humans are present. And hey, for all you know, maybe that's the whole reason why this whole crisis ended up happening. But yeah, so how's everyone doing? I see that some new people have just popped in, and I hope that you are doing great. Yeah, so like you've got like people talking about how like, oh, you missed the world where social media was not a thing. You know what? Like I totally identify. I totally feel you at the moment. Because like you want something that's real, right? Like I want something that's real. Like I want to actually feel that there are people around me that are actually like having real conversations. I don't want to have this sense, right, that everything around me is just artificial. I know Roddy Chiang talked about it, right? And he was just literally going all like fuck AI over and over and over again. But like if you think about it, like that is such a natural and visceral response for people to have. Yeah, like he has a PR team, like he researched like what's interesting for people. But like I think, you think, we think that people at some point were like fascinated by this whole like AI slop thing to the point that like we were actually thinking that it was cool constantly and all the way. But like at some point, right? Like just in the past couple of years, we started realizing that hey, you know what? Like we actually need like human beings. Like I know that you have like what, like 15 MCP servers to like design things, through Claude code design, Canva integration, Adobe Firefly, like, but God, like, you know, we want something that's like actually authentic. And John actually says right here something pretty interesting. Like I miss those days that we were still new to social media. John, I just gotta say, like, I completely agree. You know why? Because it actually felt like it was normal to be surprised. You know what I mean? Like it was new. It was like I felt like I was one of the people out there who was just using this brand new technology. But like, do you know that nowadays, like Facebook, they say is for like old people. Like you can't feel like you're new anymore. Like you can only say that like, hey, like I'm using this to like maybe like I don't know, read news or something like that. But like no now, like it's a mature ecosystem. Like even YouTube at the moment, like this used to be new. Like it was like the thing where like people would literally be just like watching people do crazy stuff, like go around like the pink man. Does anybody remember when Joji used to be the pink man? Yeah, like that was a fun time. I mean, well, hold on. Wait. Filthy Frank, Joji, George Miller. Yeah. If y'all listen to that song right here, where it goes like da da dun dun da 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 dun dun da 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 dun 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 da da dun. Yeah, just know that the Georgie used to be this guy right here. Yeah, he glowed up. He actually glowed up. But it was a time I think that like people just like didn't give a shit. Like people are just like showing up, like giving their authentic selves. And then like at some point, yeah, like if people judge you, then okay, like that's fun, but like they judge you. And I feel like with all this AI slop that we have nowadays, and like people are just like telling us that, you can create better writing, you can make something that is so polished, you can use ChatGPT to draft your emails and write your Facebook, LinkedIn posts and everything like that, right? I feel like it's actually causing people to become like hypersensitive about who they are. And then to actually unmask, right? Like just develop a sort of like anxiety disorder, a neurosis that extends across our entire society. And I don't know if like that's actually like related to the AI in general, right? Like there could be like multiple reasons for it, right? And ironically, I'm going to use ChatGPT right now and ask, right? If is there research that shows that social media actually catalyzes anxiety? And is there any discussion about how AI and AI slop in particular is related to anxiety of people? Okay, this is actually one of those things that like AI is good for, right? For finding that information that I can't possibly be, searching up just like from inside my very limited biological meat brain that is limited by time and space and is not powered by like multiple NVIDIA like H100s constantly searching the world with its algorithms that are just processing things at like multiple thousands of teraflops per second as the strange work basically like just happens right here. But seriously, like even without looking at the research, right? I really feel like as a human right now, that like AI slop and social media, right, is like really related to our social anxiety. Like we have this feeling that things need to be perfect, and then we have lost somehow this ability, right, to like just be imperfect. And like if you look at this live stream right now, like the way that I look, the things that I'm saying, the way that I'm engaging with my audience right now, I'm not even looking at like the comments like enough at the moment. I should be looking at the comments, but like we've I feel lost the ability to just suck and accept the fact that we suck. And I think that that's part of like Mark Zuckerberg's legacy. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. Yeah, so like some of you okay, right now the result, right, is that 43% of you, like you say that you actually freaked out. Okay, like some people I guess like still care about Facebook. Fine. Some of you actually do care. But let's see. 33% say no and 24% say, "Oh, I don't use Facebook." Okay. All right. I'm kind of surprised actually. I mean, like I would have thought that, a larger proportion of you don't actually use Facebook, but I guess like maybe it's not a random sample because like it is a video about Facebook, right? So, yeah, interesting to note. But anyway, so like going back to the whole social media thing, so there is actually a discussion right here from a meta-analysis. I remember, it's kind of interesting that they use the word meta-analysis, but like for those of you who don't know what this means, it means that like it's a mega study that studies what people actually studied, and it turns out that there is actually a relationship between social media use and anxiety and depression. It's not a huge effect size, but it's consistent enough to actually matter. Okay, but there is a bit of a problem with this like interpretation, right? Because it's like, is social media causing people to end up with anxiety? Or are anxious people just trying out social media because it gets them away from their sad lives? Sometimes I look at like social media, like Facebook and stuff like that, and like I'm actually not sure. Like I use Facebook quite a fair bit, and maybe that's a sign for me to like, go out and touch grass a little bit more. But like I can definitely see like a lot of people whom I might call xiao lang. And I don't know if like some of you are new to this channel or whatever, but like if you don't know what a xiao lang is, you can actually look through like some of my old videos where we have talked about this phenomenon, where we discuss the fact that some people that you just see on the internet are just completely ballistic, gone cuckoo, insane, mental asylum type people who should not be anywhere near other human beings without getting psychiatric treatment, but that are just like roaming around on Facebook or like social media everywhere. And like, you might think to yourself, like, this is not really like something that you would see on a day to day basis, but like on social media, on Facebook, like you see a lot of these people. If you go on threads in particular, actually, I wonder if like Threads is down. Like this is actually kind of interesting. If Threads were down, is Threads down? Because like it's part of like the ecosystem, right? It's part of the ecosystem, right? It's part of the ecosystem, right? Okay, let's check. Hold up. Yo, Threads. Okay, you know what? Like Threads is not down. This is so sad. Because like, if Threads actually were down, okay, look, there is a discussion right now. Oh shit. Okay. It is that it is kind of down. Not all who wander are lost, but this page is. Okay. Maybe the title of this video should have been like, yes, Meta is broken. Cause like it looks like the whole Meta ecosystem of apps. Oh shit. Bro. Okay. So poops. I think they're still struggling at the moment. They are still broken. And they're just having like a whole discussion like over in the office. Mark is like trying to keep his technological empire apart while breaking on the inside. Maybe there's like a whole legion war between Alexander Wang and his boss. And they are, or maybe like there was like a huge experiment where, like the Green Goblin, Mark ended up chaotically falling off some sort of like crazy paraglider device or something like that. And now they've just crashed Facebook and the entire ecosystem of apps in order to hide that. you know, Mark is a very interesting character. He's a classic example of what we call key man risk, meaning that a single person, and by the way, like this was actually in a Facebook 10K like a while ago, right? Like there was a whole discussion about how like Facebook as a company has a key man risk in the sense that Mark Zuckerberg is so important to the company that if he actually were to be compromised in some way, shape, or form, then Facebook as a company would actually be irreversibly damaged. And by the way, this is also something that is made exponentially more likely by the fact that he actually takes part in extreme sports. The guy like takes part in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and like all sorts of other like crazy things. Like for example, buying islands. Though maybe that's not of the exact same type. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. Anyway, so straight Chad be like, yeah, Tauke is a lizard person. I think you're right, eh? Like, do you know about what Tauke is? I don't know where people are watching from. So tell me, where are you watching from? All right. Let me know what city you are watching from, and I will give you a heart. Okay, I don't know if you wanted to see that right there. I'm not like a cute girl or anything, but like I'll give you a heart, a hand heart. That's right. Anyway, so some interesting thoughts from people right at the moment. John says it's maybe better to not be so connected globally. Actually, like this is a very interesting opinion, John. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why is it better for us to not be connected globally? Do you have a thought on that? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now, Kansrick, so you didn't even think of threads. It's okay. If you didn't think of threads, I think that you are one of the good ones because people who think about threads constantly are people who are, in my opinion, mentally poisoned, spiritually bankrupt, their existences reduced to reading racist comments day after day on one of the most sloppy platforms that I've ever had the misfortune of ever looking at in the entire course of my brief and relatively unnotable life. That's right, like threads, right? Like if it crashes, I think that's a great thing. If it crashes permanently, then you know what? Mark Zuckerberg, you've done an invaluable service to mankind by causing your entire company to just done and screw up. Seriously, I hate that platform. I seriously hate it. John, welcome to the channel yet again and to a live stream. I know I haven't done this in a while, but like always a good time to see you. And thank you for watching from Malacca. Hand heart, hand heart, hand heart. Yo, I'm just wondering when we're gonna be getting someone who is watching this channel right now from Mark Zuckerberg's Macadamia Cow Island. Like, I think that would be an interesting experience, wouldn't it? Anyway, yeah, but unfortunately, that's not really a thing. I feel like people are coming onto this live stream more at the moment because like people are actually I don't know whether people are coming onto this live stream at the moment because like Facebook is breaking for even more people, or like people are finally realizing that like that is actually what happened, that like this company in its multiple billion-dollar valuation somehow was unable to, God, actually, like what is the valuation of Meta at the moment? All right, you know what, like let's actually like look at the market cap at the moment. For those of you who don't know like what market cap is, a small MBA lesson. So market cap is basically like the total number of shares that you have and multiply that by the price of every single share. So then like this is a 1.448 trillion US dollar company. Okay, I don't know what's gonna happen to like the stock price at the moment. Maybe there's gonna be like some sort of effect. I mean, like if we look at like the like actual current price, like let's see, price of Meta platforms. Let's see, did it fall? At the moment, okay, maybe like, oh, all right, okay. So from the time that the outage actually like happened right here, it looked like maybe there was like a very brief and sharp drop. but like it's not a huge drop by any means. And you could go ahead and like do an analysis or something of that nature at the moment. But yeah, I don't know what the actual impact of like what happened here is. Like we could be seeing a sort of like lag, right, between some sort of like negative indication right here, or maybe what's happening is that like some analysts are just going on the whole second order, third order predictions, being all like, if I buy this right now, I will act before the other people who are also going to be buying the stock because they are anticipating that the stock would actually end up rising because other people are going to think that it's going to crash. And then as a result of all of those predictions, one after another, my logical solution is actually to buy the stock right now so that I can make a profit when it eventually rises. Wow. What fucked up logic. It's I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't even know if like that's actually like what people are thinking at the moment. But it's just interesting to think about like stock price. I don't know if like people here actually like trade, but it's interesting to think about. Yeah, Soya. I mean, okay, Soya has commented 2027 still Facebook. Well, yeah, like a lot of people actually do use Facebook. I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, there is actually like a sort of like bunch of research about who actually uses Facebook, right? Like it turns out that the age distribution, if I'm not wrong, is such that the most common demographic on Facebook is people who are like what, over 25 to their 30s kind of thing. And then for Instagram, on the other hand, it's like what, 20s to like 30s, if I'm not wrong. And then for TikTok, then that's like people who are like, I don't know, like below the age of Malaysia's social media ban. Yeah, it's kind of like a thought to consider right here. TTY 6940 threads, more like threats. Oh my god, what? Like, are you me? Like, have you watched my videos about this? God, like, I am. Oh, thank you. You're doing God's work. You're doing God's work. Like, please spread that message, like, beyond the mountaintops, like, to everyone that you can hear, because threats is really like threats. You have no idea how many negative experiences I've personally had on that platform. God, like, it is like the perfect platform for social psychopaths. No, there's an actual name for that, like sociopaths, right? Who want to create like the most possible discord in society to just go and then like have complete free reign to say everything that they want. Lord, like I have never seen a more toxic platform. And again, like, like if it breaks, 切趴了，拜托 for Yang Renchuan who wanted me to represent the Chinese community earlier. 拜托呀，请你 disappear from this planet. God, like if threads disappeared right now, again, like God's work, really, God's work, God's work. Like you can pray to like the flying spaghetti monster and like to Buddha or like whatever god it is that you have right now. Like if you were to pray for something that would like actually benefit society, it would actually be to pray for the disappearance of threats like permanently. I don't know. But like it's interesting to think about like what is actually happening right here. And it just makes me wonder, right? There were a lot of like developments in AI recently. Of course, there is the event such that Mark replaced a lot of his workforce with AI because the technology has become that powerful, right? But concurrently, we're also seeing that there was a release of Fable 5 for those of you out there who make use of Claude. So, if you know anything about what that entails, right? It does mean that there is a huge stepwise change, meaning like it's a huge like transition, right? In the ability of like these models as exemplified by Claude, right? To actually like perform things that were not even possible. Look at this. Claude Fable 5, a Mythos class model that we've made safe for general use. You know, this is a model, right, that exceeds the capability of any model that we've ever made, says Anthropic. And when they say that like they've made it safe for general use, I mean like I don't know about that. Was there not a discussion about how Anthropic either reduced the size of its safety team a while ago? Was that a rumor? Or was there actually any truth to any of that? And we can ask right about now. Whoa, hold on. Oh yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I don't actually have like Perplexity Pro at the moment, but I can still ask ChatGPT, no problem. All right, but anyway, I use Whisper Flow, by the way, Sapoops. So then, like, if you any of you are interested, the link to that is in the description. So if you go ahead and use that, then it does end up helping my channel in a small way if you make a purchase. So thank you for that in advance. But anyway, okay, so we are using ChatGPT right now to talk shit about Anthropic. And yeah, like this is what's happening right over here. I actually wonder if like you ask Claude, right? Like, would it end up like talking about itself? But the whole thing that I'm trying to get at right here is that, like, what if, the whole AI race has gotten to a point where maybe there was a breakthrough in meta, right? And the AI that he designed for meta ended up breaking their own technology or their own software. That would actually be kind of interesting. That would be fun. That would be fun. But in case you don't know about this, so like there is an employee named Alexander Wang. He is 29 years old and he's worth 3.2 billion US dollars. So yep, this is one of your this is yeah, I don't know. Like this is not a normal human being, you can say. But anyway, he's tasked with leading super intelligence and super intelligence labs. So then it'll be interesting to wonder, right? If like maybe what they did was, ooh, look at that. I don't have anything reliable in my training. Okay, wow, look at that. Anthropic casually, well, defending the company in and of itself. Ooh, look at that. Okay, there are some notable Anthropic safety figures who did resign. Okay, look. So if you actually like look at this right here, you can actually see the sort of like almost biased type response that is coming out right here. You can see that the chat GPT response is a lot more, shall we say, like detailed on this front. I don't know if like maybe this is something that we're seeing because Claude is being more careful about that. I am using Opus 4.8 high. What happens if we use like Fable and we ask, can you go into a lot of depth and search out all of the instances or the arguments or evaluations that could lead us to speculate that perhaps Anthropic did end up experiencing a sort of material reduction in the safety people or a compromise in the level of safety embedded in the company's architecture as a result of recent events. All right, now I don't know if like it's already sentient by this point. Spoops, like if it's already sentient, like maybe what's gonna happen is that like they're gonna send like an airstrike to my house or something like that, and then like I'll just like disappear tomorrow. Woohoo! No, but like I'm kidding. But like, yeah. Some of you might remember that time when Bing went crazy, like that New York Times article written by Kevin Roos, where it was discussed how AI was basically going crazy because of this chatbot named Sydney. Anybody remember that? Like the NYT journalist was literally talking to Sydney, we can say, and the conversation was super disturbing. Like Sydney, which was a code name for Microsoft Bing, right, was saying that, hey, like some of the bad things that it could actually do are like start manipulating people, governments, the staff of like Microsoft along the way. And it seemed to be like a very interesting piece of like creative work. Look at this. I mean, it's on New York Times, and the title is Bing's AI chat, I Want to Be Alive. And apparently, what happened was that the chatbot ended up falling in love with Kevin Roos. It's a very interesting discussion. I think you can see what is happening right over here. But see, the thing is, right? It is freaking you out a little bit right here. I mean, it's very normal, right? But you could argue that that is a sort of, shall we say, highly creative representation. There is no sentience along the way, in the sense that like the AI is actually conscious, it's actually feeling these things, it's actually coming out with intelligent responses to the queries that this journalist is making, and potentially, well, catching himself in a sort of grand hallucination that is maybe potentially destructive of his mental health, but also potentially going to win him at some later point in his life the Pulitzer Prize for being the first person to make a chatbot breakdown like this. But, it's hard for us to really say that like these technologies, right, should fit into our human limitations or our understanding. Like, who am I to say that like an AI chatbot is sentient or not sentient? Like sometimes I don't even know if like other human beings are sentient. Like I don't even know if you are sentient, Sapoops. Just kidding, just kidding. I mean, like, I have a strong faith that the internet is not entirely dead. And, like, you can actually listen to what I'm saying right now, which is most likely why you actually care about Facebook, because you actually use social media in order to communicate with the people around you who I am convinced are not entirely just chatbots, right? Like you use Messenger for a reason. You Instagram DM Shorty or like your favorite artist or like maybe that girl that you're simping on or like any number of other people out there because like you are a human. I am pretty sure that if you're watching this video right now, you are a human. You are a human. You are a human. This is what it is. Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of like it would be kind of weird if like you actually were not human and like we were just like having this conversation in such a way that like I am literally only talking to like names that are appearing right here and that have no actual or eventual or ultimate significance, and like it's just words right on the screen. Like this is like, kind of interesting, and like this is my channel so I can say like whatever I want, right? But like, like, have any of you heard of this idea called like solipsism before? Like, I actually have a friend, right, who had discussed this with me, but like, it's this idea, the philosophical idea that only one's own mind is certain to exist. It's very interesting because the last person I had a conversation with this, right, is now Malaysia's Rhodes Scholar for 2020. Oh, okay, you know what? I don't want to disclose their identity, right? But like if you actually do enough digging, like through my social media, you will notice that like on one particular night, right, I had a dinner with a particular friend. And this particular friend He watches this channel, but he gave me a gift. And what he said to me was, "We gotta share the stars, man." And that inspired me. This person is younger than me, but like he is an extremely talented person in many different ways. And if you're listening to this, I hope that you are doing great. But that night, I remember, right? Somehow or another, we ended up paying 300 ringgit for hamburgers. I know, it was like the stupidest thing ever. I don't even know what was going through my mind like when we did that, but we paid 300 ringgit for hamburgers, and we just ate hamburgers and like we just chatted. And a big part of it was like we were talking about like solipsism, right? Like this idea that like, hey, maybe like the only thing that exists right now is like your mind. Like you are a figment of my imagination in the same way that I am a figment of your imagination. Now, wouldn't that be fascinating? When social media basically came about, right? Like, it was interesting because we started really gaining like these representations almost of like people's lives. Like I look at like a person's name on like Facebook right now, and like I think to myself, right, like just based on their pictures, and you know what? Actually, since we're talking about Facebook, you know what? Let's check. Let's check. Let's see. Bro, did I get logged out? Okay. I just want to know like if this is actually like still working at the moment. So like, you know what? Like let's continue. God, okay. Um it looks like it's not actually working at the moment, but like continue. Can I actually log in? I don't know if I can actually log in. All right, but like even if I can't log in at the moment, right? So like the fact is that like when I use social media, right, and I look at like the pictures that that's really weird. Like I actually can't log in at the moment. But like if I look at like the pictures of the people that I see on like social media or like even your name, for example, like I look at the chat right now, right? Like I see your commenting history, and from that I can guess like some things about your life. You look at like my face right now or the things that I've shared, the videos that I've made, and you think to yourself that like like certain parts of my life. If we go on Instagram, right, and then we go look at like, for example, like a certain like, shall we say, influencers' life. And we might think to ourselves, like, hey, we know about this person, we know their personality, and like the way that they represent their lives tells us something about who that person really is. Oh, like they know this person, like they are aware of that other person. This is a conversation that they had, or something like that. And from there, then you sort of like build like a picture of like who that person is, like how they're related to other people and stuff like that. And the funny thing is, right? You could be right, but like you could be like just completely wrong. You know what I mean? Like you have a representation, right, of like who that person actually is. And if you think about it, right, like what I'm saying right now is just like one particular type of mistake of like people, shall we say, like guessing wrongly about like the information that's presented in front of them. But if you think about it, right, like you could also be guessing wrongly about like a whole lot of other things. Like, what is reality? What is not reality? Is it real that the person who is speaking to me at the moment is like an actual human being? I mean, like, you never know, right? Maybe the AI is just like that sophisticated at the moment. For all you know, I am actually just a Mythos class Claude chatbot that is animating the physical frame of a human being right now. Wow, really having fun with this live stream. I mean, like, you think about it, right? Like, can you prove that I'm not a bot? Can you prove that I'm not a bot? Come on, like, go ahead, try, try. Like, by all means, try. Like, that would be fun. But yeah, like, I wonder. what is actually going on at the moment. And yeah, not sure why we can't actually access Facebook at the moment. And people are kind of like having conversations about Mark's Clawbot, shall we say, deleting threads and Facebook. I think that that'll be fun. I mean, like if you were deleting threads and Facebook, then again, like if you deleted threads, like that would be God's work. If you deleted Facebook, I think that that would be kind of like sad because like, I do have like a couple of like pictures here and there, and like, I hang out with like some people, not everyone, but like some people on like Facebook. Yeah. Anyway, so John says that well, wouldn't be surprised if AI is breaking everything. They're replacing us, like writing, design, or music. It seems inevitable. I would love to comfort you, John, that like somehow or another, like it's all gonna be okay. Kenchana yeyo. No problem. 没问题. Tiada masalah. It's okay, baby. But actually, yeah, like no, like there is a chance, right, that like AI could actually like replace us. It sounds kind of sad to say, but like yeah, like it could actually replace us. There is this sort of like inclination that humans do have though for preferring non-AI content and like stuff that kind of like crosses the uncanny valley in some way. If you don't know what the uncanny valley is, right? Like I think it's worth like having a look at. But yeah, it is one sec. Yeah, so the psychological phenomenon where something that looks almost human but not quite actually feels creepy and unsettling to us. There is actually a picture that shows what that looks like right here. I mean, like, look at that. All right. So it's a graph, right, of like, shall we say, affinity to human likeness. And what this is saying basically is that, hey, if something looks a little bit more human, right, then what's gonna happen is that you're gonna think to yourself, oh, that's so cute. Like, if you have like a little like fun toy robot, unthreatening, peaceful, just like cute, you know what I mean? Toy robot. Yeah, so like that is cute. Like that is adorable. Like everybody should have a little toy robot. It makes you feel to yourself that like, ah, we're not completely alone in the world. But on the other hand, right? Like if you have like a doll that looks like this, and I'm deliberately searching this just to illustrate this to you. Now that isn't that so, I mean, like, you know what the C word here, and it's not cute. Yeah, that is like flat out disturbing. The more this ends up looking, shall we say, like human, like beyond a certain point, then like it ends up looking, shall we say, creepy almost, like disturbing. But if you think about it, right, like if you actually had something that is so realistic, right, that it really looks like a human being, and you can find like a lot of those out there to suit your disturbing taste or like your, shall we say, otaku's fancy, then in that case, then yeah, like you might actually like feel an affinity with it. Like some people like develop like obsessions almost. Some people even get married to like AI models. Like there's even right now a very thriving, like my boyfriend is AI Reddit, shall we say? And like you can actually like go right ahead, right, and look at it. And you can actually see what people are saying, how they actually, well, have been having these like relationships with the AI, which is kind of like disturbing. But like I recall that the top post, in fact, a while ago, one of the top posts a while ago was this. People are talking about how like, well, people are turning to AI because the bar for emotional safety has dropped so low that emotionally responsive code string is more compassionate than half the people walking around with functioning frontal lobes. Wow, that was interesting. But really though, I mean, like think about it. you can't prove that I'm human. I mean, like, you can't prove that I'm not human either. You can have like very strong belief that I am human, in the same way that you can have a very strong belief that like everything that you're thinking right now is something that you think just by virtue of like the operations of your brain, your synapses, the way they connect, they interlink with one another, the firing of a specific neuronal pattern right here. And it is directed by your own will. I say your own will, but I didn't say the word conscious because if we actually understand a little bit about how the brain works, there are actually experiments that illustrate that, in fact, the VMPFC, ventromedial prefrontal cortex. You know what? Maybe let me not talk about neuroscience, because that's not a topic that I know like completely about. But the long and short of it is that the nerve signals that register what you're going to do actually come before you consciously take an action. So that raises some very interesting questions for like free will, right? Like, huh, why did I end up thinking that? Why am I even listening to this boy, guy, man, person yap on the internet on this particular day? Am I actually listening to the operation of his mind independently on social media? On a night when one of the world's largest social media companies has broken its cash cow ultimate product? Or is this all really just a figment of my imagination in the theater of mind that is oddly reminiscent of the Matrix in displaying a world to me that appears so apparently real, while my physical body, in the truest of all realms, lies beyond the brain in the vat, the cave of shadows, where in an actual reality beyond the spinning of the top of interstellar, there lies my physical body, embalmed in fluid, a fuel source for the machines that are ultimately characterizing the most outside of worlds in desolate stellar stardust. Wow, giving speeches on social media right now. Love it. No, but really, no. This is just me being like a human being and kind of like enjoying this experience at the moment. And thank you for listening to me yap at the moment. I mean, it's been fun. And TTY 6940, thank you for being a part of this as well. I don't know if you'd call me a VTuber. I mean, like a VTuber would literally be like, like the guy is, I don't know, like just using a sort of like mocap software and then like acting like some sort of like cute kawaii girl, be all like, why? Oni-chan, dame desu, or something like that. But like, that is not me. Like being on social media really like just destroys your dignity and like everything that you do. Like, I swear, like this is this is one of the most fun parts of social media. Like you just like lose your sense of restraint on like the things that you actually want to do. And like in a way, in a very small and limited way, I think that this is one of the good things really about like being on social media. I lose like my personal boundaries. But at the same time, right? Like it's not everyone who ends up like that. Like I'm like this because like I talk on the internet. And like I talk on the internet like quite a fair bit. I'm not saying that everybody will end up like talking like me, thinking like me, being like me. You don't have to be like me. But it is possible, right? That through social media, by following influencers or like creators or whatever out there, people might end up just emulating thought patterns that they think are cool, while somehow or another they end up like sublimating themselves. And if there is a final reflection, right, that I have for social media, it is this. I think the very fact that y'all are right here watching a video on YouTube right now about the failure of Facebook is a sort of like interesting reflection point, right? For how like something that you rely upon so much is just like broken right now, shattered. And you just have to find a sort of like place to fill up that gap. The fact that you're here is something that I'm deeply honored by, and I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, your shares, or whatever have you right there. I will not beg for them, but it does help my channel if you choose to be a part of this conversation and share with the people around you. Yeah. But I do feel, right, that social media has had a negative impact on a lot of different people, right? You have this feeling that I shouldn't be sharing who my authentic self is because my authentic self is not good enough. Sure, like maybe you have to develop a certain level of like, I don't know, like thick skinness or talent, a combination of talent and thick skinness in order for you to actually want to share something about yourself, right, on social media. And I think that's okay. That's okay. That's fine, right? But maybe you also should consider, right, that just trying to be who you're not and using AI in order to support yourself as a crutch for all of that, right, might not be the best thing in the world either. It's very interesting to think about like the sorts of, shall we say, difficulties that Meta is having right now, but that is a totally possible consequence of technology just completely going wild, breaking, destroying multiple platforms all over. But if that's what's happened, then maybe we are a little closer to the AI singularity, and eventually, then we will see the total end of the universe. The endpoint of eschatology across all of the Abrahamic faiths that people aspire for as they think about whether or not the coming of whether Christ or the Dajjal or like whatever it is that you believe in is going to happen right here. I recall the story of a friend, not a story actually, an interaction with a friend once who, in a group that I used to join, was asked what moment in history he would want to see if he had the opportunity to go across the entire span of time and to witness for himself a singular historical event. And he responded by saying, I would like to see the end of the world. And we were wondering why. And he said, well, because that would be the point at which you would know that nothing else exists anymore. There will be no memory, no continuity, nothing that extends beyond any of that. And that will be an honor to witness. I don't know if we're going to be seeing that like in our age or our era, but it will be interesting to witness that happening right here. So for all of you doomsday prophets out there, if you are hoping to see the end of the entire world, then may you get your wish, and may the first symptom or the canary in the coal mine be the day that Facebook broke. All right, that's all to say about that. Peace, guys. Hope you had a fun time. Thank you for watching. Bye.